Some people love using LUTs to grade their footage, others don't like using them at all and prefer to grade using Final Cut Pro's built-in tools. If you're among those that enjoy using LUTs, then these 3 tips are going to help you to get the most out of LUTs on your footage. Tip number 1. Get the exposure right before the LUT. If you apply a LUT to your footage and it just doesn't look great, then it might be because your exposure is off before you even add the LUT. This tip mostly applies to log footage, but it can still help you achieve better results if you're using standard Rec 709 footage. Let's say your footage is underexposed. You add the custom LUT effect, which can be found in the color category in your effects browser, and when you apply your favorite LUT, it looks dark and dull. You might be tempted to add a color wheels adjustment to increase the global brightness, and then maybe to brighten the highlights, darken the shadows, and adjust the midtones to get better contrast. While that looks better than the clip with just the LUT applied to it, it could be so much better. Here's how. Let's delete that color wheels adjustment and disable the LUT. If you look at your waveform scope, you can see that this image is really dark. You want the majority of your image to be around 50 IRE. This might not be the case for all shots, but it's a good starting point. So I'll add a color wheels adjustment and boost the global brightness until the majority of the image sits around 50 IRE. Then I'll go back to my effects over here and I'll make sure that this adjustment is placed before the LUT. I can then turn the custom LUT effect back on. Now if I add a color wheels adjustment to improve the contrast, I can boost the highlights, darken the shadows a little bit, and adjust the midtones to get the kind of contrast I'm going for. And this looks way better. Here's a side-by-side comparison without the global brightness adjustment before the LUT and with the global brightness adjustment before the LUT. Tip number 2. Use the mix slider. When you apply a LUT to your footage, it might look too dark, too bright, too saturated, or too something else right out the gate, and it's likely to make you move on to the next LUT. But this is when I'd encourage you to play around with the mix slider. Dropping the mix value from 100% down to 75 or 50% or something like that will lower the intensity of that LUT on the footage, and sometimes that makes all the difference when it comes to footage that is too dark, too bright, or too oversaturated. By the way, my Fire and Ice Volume 1 LUT pack is available on my website if you'd like to support the channel in some way, and then you get 10 LUTs made for log and standard color profiles. Tip number 3. If you have LUTs that you use often, turn them into presets. With the LUT already applied to your clip, head over to the Save Effects preset button and give it a name, like Cool Crush. And let's add a new category here called LUTs. You can do that for as many different LUTs as you like, and now you have all of your favorites in one place. The best part is that if you position your playhead above the clip you want to grade in your timeline and scrub over those presets in the effects browser, you can get a preview of what that LUT will look like on that shot. This is way faster than applying a LUT using the custom LUT effect and then going back and doing it again for each LUT until you find the one you want. When you do find the one you want to use, simply double click to add it to your clip. I hope you found these tips helpful. Make sure you watch this video next that will show you how to properly organize your LUTs in Final Cut Pro, and I'll see you in the next one.